This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's Partnership Coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Tom McClean from Door 3. Thank you so much for coming on with me today.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure. Thanks for the lovely introduction.
So, of course, I'm happy that you're joining me today. So, could you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, maybe a fun fact that has nothing to do with what you do, it could be anything, and then kind of how you got to this point in your career?
Yep, sure. Okay, I'll start with a fun fact, I guess, which maybe I shouldn't have started with because I'm starting to blank on the fun fact. Um, let's see. Yeah, most people don't know about me. I'm really into like kind of watching like kind of construction videos on YouTube. They're nothing to do with like my work my work, and I don't really like practice any of that stuff. But I just love watching these videos about like mega builds and like infrastructures, train connections, things like that. So I'm not sure if that's fun facts, but
That's fun.
it's a fact.
Interesting, because it's very random.
Yeah,
So
it
the
was it's the first one that came into my mind. And let's see about myself. I mean, my name's Tom. I am I'm tuning in today from Barcelona. That's where I live. That's where I work and have my family. I'm not from Barcelona. I'm from Ireland originally, and yeah, I've lived there for a while. I lived for several years in Germany. I've studied in Germany as well. Like spent a long time living in Berlin. I've been living here for about 7 years or so at the moment. I'm a relatively new father. I have a son who's 1 year. Thank you very much. I have a son who's 1 year, 8 months old. He's awesome. He's a handful. Keeps me very busy.
I have a nephew that runs around the house often, breaks a lot of things.
Oh yeah. I mean now he's like in this stage which is just the throw everything on the floor, and that's apparently hilarious.
They all get there. Apparently, it's just fun little thing to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose like a little bit about career. I mean, I'm like a classically trained graphic designer in visual communication. I've worked in that industry. I began kind of working more as an art director, doing campaigns for advertising. And I think I've slowly just over, the last, I mean, it's been a long time, the last like 8 years or so, just always like kind of naturally transitioned more into like user experience design, and more into, digital products and just like design thinking, user research. And that's kind of taken me to where I am today. And another fun fact, I love bikes. I'm a big bike, I'm a big biking, cyclist, touring person. And that's what I love to do to kind of get away from screens and devices. And my form of meditation is like going for bike rides.
I think it's very important to have a hobby that does not involve screens when you're on a screen at all times. I unfortunately got involved in video games right before I had a remote job. And then I just didn't play any of them because I just didn't want to look at the computer after work.
That makes sense. So you didn't get like the withdrawal symptoms, sorry, where you're like, I just really want to finish that game.
It
Got-
could I just had it was a hard stop. I couldn't do it anymore. I was like I just felt like my brain was melting at the end of the day. Even if I enjoyed work, it's a lot of sometimes I don't know if you ever stare at a computer long enough where you feel like you just can't see anymore. Like you're
Yeah,
kind of
I feel like that where I can't really read the text, or I don't care about reading the text. So well, yeah, maybe this is a good moment to stop.
no, I think that's a good I really do think that's a good point of advice for people that spend the day on the computer because I think that you kind of need, like it doesn't even have to be an outdoor related thing, it just has to be something that is not on a screen. That you need a hobby that's not on a screen. Maybe even I don't even know if reading books is a great one either because 'cause you're still staring at something.
Yes, yeah. I mean, for me, it's just kind of like outside. I want to be outside. I want to do something. Yeah, I suppose it's like it's just like the thing, like the main downside of like the work that we do, I think, is that it is screen dependent, and maybe it doesn't afford so many opportunities to like be outside, travel around. So yeah, maybe we need to work on that, figure out a solution to fix it.
Yeah, I feel like there was definitely a point in design before we became so computer centered that we would, create drafts that were on paper. And I'm sure that there's people that still do this, but I feel like maybe if we went back to like the Stone Ages of using illustrations and sketches more that weren't online, then maybe that would be like a really nice practice to implement again to get people off screen a
Yeah,
little
I
more.
mean, I used to that for years. I would always I used to do a lot of illustration work, not so much anymore, but I always just did that with ink and paper, and
I appreciate that.
I would always scan that in, and like even though you're gonna vectorize it afterwards, and you're gonna manipulate it and try to improve it digitally, I just always like the feeling of my hand doing it on the paper much more than like a Wacom tablet or something like that. But it's kind of missing. Like I still do like little doodles and things, but even I used to always like notebooks and like taking the notes because like I believe that is true that you remember them. It stores like much more efficiently in your memory because there's like the physical
100%.
act of doing it. But then I just don't do it anymore because it's not shareable and I lose it. And I'll never kind of like I never actually like document it in the computer. So now it's just like I just have it here so I can easily like send it to people if I need to. And yeah, efficiency got me, I guess. So.
Efficiency does get everyone at some point, I think. I completely understand that because I really like writing in my free time,
Mm,
but
awesome.
I but I never got into typing, and I'm so happy that I never got into typing, I hate typing. I just don't know. Um, I always used to if I had to write an essay or something, I would always write out the entirety of the essay before typing it up, and I realized how time consuming it was.
That sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot of work.
It's so much my 17-page thesis in college, I wrote the whole freaking thing out before I I regret that so much. It was the why did I do that? There was no point. I really it helped me organize my thoughts really well, but, it's just
Well, at least you didn't lose it.
listen,
That would be terrible if your dog ate it or something.
I never thought about that part. It's never happened to me, like, dropping it in the rain or anything like the most catastrophizing experience, but, that's never happened to me with the writing, thank God. Okay, we'll transition into something more related to design. Oh,
Whatever.
um,
I'm I mean, yeah.
but okay, so there's I know that I talk about marketing a lot on this podcast. But I know that similar to marketing, design is something that's kind of ever changing with trends. Do you think that there's any trend that is kind of reshaping the industry at this point? And how do you think you would incorporate this into your projects now?
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, there's, like, several trends that I think are I've noticed because 'cause they're affecting, like, the work that I do, and, like, my team do as well. I think a lot of those is I mean, it's gonna sound so buzzy, but it is connected to AI, and I know everyone just talks about AI these days, but we have some projects where, they're AI first projects, and then that's really changing interfaces that's, before you kind of like would lay out interfaces and you need to have the different options. You need to make it clear with affordances and prompts what the user can do. And now like the interface just kind of gets collapsed in many ways, like into like a chat input. and like all the possibilities can happen, but they just reveal themselves. So you don't need to necessarily design as much. I
Mm.
mean, you can have fewer components or assets, but they're actually like infinitely more complex because they can like transform and reveal themselves in different ways. And I think, that's something it's interesting. But it's like if you look at Chat GTP, I mean, they changed it recently, but they just hit this black circle, and that for the mobile version, the voice controlled one, and
Oh, yes,
it's just an
I just
assistant.
found out about this.
And that's the interface. There's no inputs, there's no headers or banners or anything. It's just that, like a moving dot, like a black dot. I think also like really interesting is just, maybe it's because we were touching on that before. Screens. Like we're actually kind of moving away from screens, and it's like we're having these voice experiences, but we're moving into like virtual reality, like mixed reality and augmented reality. Well, I think augmented reality, they just renamed it recently to mixed reality. That's like a factoid, maybe. I was talking about that the other day, and someone said mixed reality, and I asked them, "What is that?" And they're like,
Makes
It's augmented reality because it's like your reality is mixed with like digital elements. For if you had like smart glasses, you have reality, but then you've like you're layering like a layer of like a digital interface over the top. So I think, you know, thinking about like not screens in like a traditional like sense is interesting, or like not think or even not thinking about like rectangles and like what kind of shape or like form factor the designs can inhabit is interesting. And I think also just kind of like the systemization of design, like design systems and their power, for better or for worse, it's like it's really changing the way that we, create the designs, and how we use like our main design tools and how we collaborate with other designers and developers for etc. So it's like things are becoming like this much more like systematic approach of doing things, and it's food for thought. It's something to think about.
Do you think that, implementing AI into your work makes your life easier or harder or kind of, like, the same because you still have to adjust to something new?
I mean, I don't think I wouldn't consider myself like a kind of power user of AI tools. Like I wouldn't consider myself to be, really ahead of the curve of what's going on. But I think it's definitely made things easier. Like certain things are just like automated where you would have to find some image or copy or content before, and you can just kind of like boop, like just let that like magically appear. The little magic wand, the little magic wand that gets like stuck onto everything these days. But I mean, in terms of like my actual like hands-on design work creation, I don't think I use that many AI tools because I think the tool that we use, mainly Figma. I mean, they already have like really good templates, and there's like a whole community there where people share the work that they've done. You can find that. You can take it and use it as like a starting block if you
Mhm.
want to. I suppose I use it more for like thinking through things. I like to have a little window open when I'm kind of, you know, thinking more about like the vision of work or like the planning of processes and projects. And then it just kind of like it's, my little body on the side, and I can just kind of like talk the problems I'm trying to go through and think about solutions. And it's just there as like a sounding board, I think, because I mean, I'm not sure if you do, but we all kind of work remotely at the moment. Like I'm in an office here, but there's nobody next to me because they don't wanna come 'cause they prefer to work at home. So, in that way, it helps me just to have like a sounding board that I don't really have at the moment, and I think that's kind of something that we lost a little bit, like, from in this post-COVID world that we live in. Like,
Mm.
you used to walk around like an office or a room and see people's screens and have a chit chat and like and talk through things.
Mhm.
And we don't have that. It's not really happening in like a haphazard, like organic way anymore. It's planned, you know. It's like here, we're gonna have this meeting and we're gonna talk about this particular topic. So
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of like that aspect of the AI. It's just there to like, you know, like like yeah, discuss
It
and debate.
it's a buddy to spitball ideas with, even though it's not.
Yeah.
I never
Without
really thought about it like that. No, but that's really interesting because I think that it's really important to be able to run ideas off of someone, and it does suck that we're so remote at this point that that's not really something that, like you said, organically can happen. Like, even at that point, I'm someone that's always worried that I'm bothering someone if I have to ask them a question during work hours because I don't know if they're doing something. But when you're in an office, you can kind of see if someone's stressed or doing something,
yeah,
or you can
that's
just
true.
you can walk up to them and say, "Hey, you got 2 minutes," and then they can say, "No, I'm dying. I'm drowning right now, and I can't."
They could just flash your look.
Exact exactly. So I think that, oh, I think you're
It,
frozen.
my camera, yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second.
No worries.
There's a kind of bug with this webcam, and
It's totally okay.
it's happened to me several times.
I just
Uh,
At least you didn't pause in a really funny position.
that's good. That's good. Yeah, that could have been a lot worse. I'm just gonna unplug this and plug it in again and see. I mean, it wouldn't be a podcast without some technical difficulties, right?
Exactly. No, wait, I got the oh, perfect.
Well,
Oh, welcome back.
yeah, but back in business.
But yeah, I do think that there's definitely a level of personability that we kind of lost after COVID, and I do miss it a lot. I hope that we go back to it. I think that a lot of people, when something drastic happens, socially, I guess, we kind of go back to our roots at some point. So I'm hoping that with the rise of AI, people might crave human connection a little more. And
I hope
then
so. I hope so. I mean, I've always been. I think I'm one of the outliers. I've always enjoyed coming to like a place to work,
I
like
agree.
that's different from the place where I live. I don't know. It's just like I guess it comes back to that point of like disconnecting. I've always liked commutes. I've most of the time in my life I've been lucky that it's always like a nice walk or a nice cycle, and that's like gets me in a nice mood. And I arrive at the desk. And it's like okay, I feel good, and I've been able to disconnect and think about nothing for like 20 minutes. And then whenever everything was totally remote, I missed that, and I didn't like this not having this clear, like, delineation where it's like, "Okay, so now I'm finished work, but, like, I'm just still in my living I'm in my living
Yeah.
room still, and it's still there." Doesn't feel different at all.
No, I definitely, because it's nice to go home,
Mhm.
but you're already home. You know, I also agree. I really like a commute. I noticed this year. Do you use Spotify?
I do pretty religiously, actually,
So the Spotify Wrapped this year, I noticed because I just started working remotely this year. I'd not worked remotely previously. I noticed that my minutes were significantly lower because I wasn't doing a commute, and that's when I would listen
it's
to most of my
interesting.
music. And I miss that because I used to listen to so much new music. I used to, get into my day and kind of readjust and have this reset or this and then on the way home I would get to listen to it. It would just be a nice little small part of my day where I just got to reset my mind, and I feel like I don't have that as much now because I just walk 5 steps
Only.
into the other room to not my office room.
Yeah, I haven't checked out the Wrapped yet, but I will. I think mine's gonna be lower because this year I started where I live is about 10 minutes walk from here, so but also, this year, it's strange, like, before I wasn't, like, huge, like, podcast listener, like, only for some moments, but now this 10-minute walk it's like I keep doing these, like, language learning podcasts, and I just do that, like, so to do that, like, twice a day, and it's nice, but I think it's also, like it means my music consumption is gonna be lower this year.
They still do Wrapped with podcasts, though. You no.
That's gonna be really boring. It's just gonna be like one bomb. It's gonna be one. You listen to one podcast and a lot. It's like,
Yeah, no, I definitely I don't I only listen to podcasts to go to sleep. So I actually didn't expect the ones that I got because some of them just rolled into a different podcast that I've never listened to
there's
before.
something good for us to talk about on a podcast. They're more than languages, and they're more than falling asleep.
Podcasts are right? Podcasts are interesting. You should watch this one, please. Play. So okay, well, I think that this is something that's kind of important to touch on is
Oh,
okay, so
sorry. This is this moment where my colleague is calling me. Bear with me for 1 second.
uh, welcome back.
Yep, nice to be back. Been a while.
So, something that I wanted to get a feel for is so do you work with designers from different areas of the world? Because I know that Door 3 works with has like different workers everywhere.
Yep, we do. So at Door 3, we have a couple of like nuclei, I guess is the plural term for it. I'm trying to sound smart. Or a couple of nuclei. I mean, our main offices, they're in Manhattan. And that's it's free. People can come and go as they please. That's up to them. We also, in terms of the UX design team, we're pretty like evenly split. So we have half of the team is in New York. Myself and around like another like half of the team, we're based here in Barcelona. This is kind of considered like our design hub. And we have one designer, very talented designer who's in Cairo, Egypt at the moment. So that's the design team. And then, we work hand in hand with developers. Like our two pillars are UX design and software development. So we do digital product design. And there, you know, everybody's much more dispersed now. I mean, we used to have another office and it's coming back slowly in Kiev in the
Mhm.
Ukraine. And, unfortunately, a lot of those people, they're dispersed all over Europe at the moment. So we're even more international than we used to be, not through choice, just because of necessity. But yeah, I mean, it keeps things interesting. I mean, I always like to work on teams with different people, different perspectives. It's something that's really valuable. I think whenever you're like workshopping or problem solving or trying to like look at something, your different perspectives are really valuable. Someone can just come in and based upon, their life experiences or like ideals or beliefs, they can just approach a problem in a different way, like breathe in a breath of fresh air. And I think ultimately that makes better products.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Well, how are you able to manage working with people in all different time zones and, all different um like how are you able to coordinate, make sure that things are done on time and all that when sometimes you might not be awake?
Yep. Yep. I mean, no, that's very true. I mean, the biggest time differences we have are 7, 8 hours, I think.
Mhm.
So it's not huge. If we were to work with people in Asia, for example, that would be like night and day. You could get that would really be like well, someone's always sleeping. I think as long as we have these overlap windows, so me being based in Europe, that means that we are 6 hours ahead of our New York colleagues. So you know I think our days are different in that regard. So I have much more of like my thinking and processing and like quiet working time in the mornings, and
Mhm.
then my afternoons. I spend a lot of time on calls, meeting with people, discussing, planning, and I think for our colleagues in America, then it's the opposite. So their afternoon times are peaceful, focused time, advanced for their work, and more meetings in the morning. So as long as we have that overlap, I think works well. And I think also for me and my team, flexibility is a thing, and I think also like very important is you don't need to necessarily have defined timelines because people are productive at different times. Like you mentioned, you're not really like a morning person. That's totally fine. I mean, I think I used to be more of a morning person. I'm becoming less of a morning person. But I know also when before my son was born, I mean that kind of changed things, but just a little. But before then, I was like very like I would call it like the moments I would be like in the zone. Like I like to call that the design zone was like very late at night for me. I would go away, do something in the evening, have dinner, relax, and come back to work, at midnight or afterwards. And then it always worked really well for me. This feeling of everyone's kind of sleeping. You can dim the lights, and you can really focus, and that helps me. So that's something that I try to always explain to my team and let them know that that's an option. I think as long as we're collaborating when we need to, and as long as there's like certain moments or meetings that we attend, the when and the where we do the work really isn't important. I think as long as that can like fit in with people's lives, they'll be happier. They'll be more engaged, and I think people having that freedom, gives them like a heightened sense of responsibility, and it works well. I think.
Yeah, no, I like that level of flexibility because I think that I agree that people work well at different times. Like I'm a chronic insomniac and I sometimes do my most work in the middle of the night when I can't sleep because I'm bored and I don't know what else to do. Uh, um, but I think that
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, as long as you're meeting deadlines, I think that whenever you do your work is not really important as long as you're doing work.
yeah, definitely.
How are you able to okay, so then collaborating with these teams, I guess time zones doesn't seem that bad as long as everything is, rolling. We're doing our work at different times, whatever works for us or the flexibility. How are you able to like mentor these teams to be creative if they're in like a rut or something like that or think in
Fleek.
think innovatively about design because I understand I am not a very creative person, but when I feel creative,
Mhm.
I think that it's very easy to get stuck in certain spots. It's like a writer that hasn't written a book for 3 years. Um, how do you kind of like inspire your team?
Yep, I mean, like meeting together, even if that's done like remotely through video calls, I think that's good. And what we've been doing over the past few years, and yeah, I want to say it's been a hit. Maybe maybe some of the team members are going to disagree, but we try to always. I mean, we have our normal meetings that are work related, and they're not formal, but they're more structured. We know what we want to do, but we always keep trying to have a time on a Friday, which is today. We're gonna do it, and we have like a workshop for like an hour and a half, and the topic can be anything. We kind of have like a spreadsheet where we can put ideas into it, and the idea is like we can just it's a space for us to like blow off some steam, relax, very informally. Like maybe we'll try to like workshop some kind of design solution. Maybe somebody presents something that they just find interesting, from like current events or design trends. And sometimes we also just kind of goof off in those calls where we'll play like online like Pictionary and Figma or something, or we'll do these games, and I think that's good. It gets us talking like in a roundabout way about our work, like about our processes and concepts, but without any pressure. Where we don't need to achieve anything, and it's also just another good opportunity to give people a platform, and maybe sometimes like a team member can say, I've been working on this thing. I've been scratching my head. I just don't think. Can I just like put it there and we kind of like critique it and deconstruct it, like in a fun way and rip it apart, put it back together again. So we try to do that, And also, I think we just try to, I think, yeah, like culture is very important. And I know that's like a really broad term that's hard to define, but for me, it just kind of means like the vibe of the team. Um, and with us, like we very much try to keep it like friendly and fun, and like yes we take our work seriously, but it doesn't mean we have to be super serious. Like we can have fun, like we're lucky enough. I hope everyone on the team is lucky enough that they like their jobs, like
Mhm.
we like and we're engaged in what we do, and we can joke around and do that. I think recently, like, well, it's been several years, but the tools are just so good these days where, everybody can be connected on headsets if they want, and we're all in there. You can see everybody's cursors, and it's like really collaborative and fun. So yeah, we try to have fun with it.
Yeah, I think that's really great, and that's a really great environment to have with your team. I like the idea of I think that one being comfortable, I think is the most important thing for one a work environment in general, but also for, creativity to flourish
Mhm.
because I think that, maybe some people do really great under pressure too. I know that that's also true. Pressure makes diamonds, whatever, so to speak. Um but it's also nice to just
That's a
know.
good phrase. I haven't heard that like in that context. That's cool.
Oh,
Permission to steal that? I'd be
you
like,
can steal that as long as you're not being mean about it. If you're bullying someone and you're like, "Pressure makes diamonds," you better do your work. I'm gonna be
that's
upset that
that's
you just
exactly how I'm
did
gonna use it.
think that. But, I think that having an environment where you feel like you can comfortably collaborate, like, I really liked the a bunch of designers coming together and just working on one little project or focusing on one problem, I think is really nice because it's a bunch of different perspectives. Everyone does design differently. It's something that fascinates me so much. I always say that if I could be really good at something artistically, it would be graphic design specifically because I think that it's so interesting. I'm so not technologically savvy
You
that I don't think I could ever.
can learn. You can come to one of our workshops. We're fun. I promise.
That would be so nice.
Yeah, what's each really fun? It's easy.
But I do I love the idea of the collaborative, environment for that because I just think that just elevates everyone's creativity. They get different perspectives and they get different ideas, and I love that, and I think that people should collaborate more in all sectors of business because I think that the business world can be very, uh not fun sometimes. And I think collaboration would make every aspect of business more interesting. That's why I also really like marketing because everyone has different ways of marketing something. And I think that that's super fun and interesting, but not a lot of people like to talk in the marketing world because they have secrets. You want people to know their secrets. But
Cloaks and daggers, yeah.
yeah, but collaboration is fun and it makes everyone inspired. And I really enjoy that idea.
Likewise.
I have a question then. Okay, speaking of
Yep.
inspired and fun, do you have a favorite um maybe campaign or design that you've worked on in your it could be your entire career, it doesn't have to be a door 3 that you are really proud of and that you still think about to this day?
That is a very good question.
Or something that you had really fun on but maybe you're like, "Ah, it wasn't my best work, but I enjoyed it."
No, I think actually like one of the best projects that I'm like really enjoyed, and I know the team of that project really enjoyed it as well. This is going back about 4 or 5 years, I think. And at this stage, we were working for as a UX designer for an automotive company here in Spain, and it was cool. The project, I mean, it's to this date, I think it's probably the only project where we really got to like use design thinking process effectively or like completely. You learn about these things and you read about them, and there's like these ideal processes in the world where you have ample time to research. You speak to users and interview them beforehand. You can conduct a survey. You create prototypes. You test them. So it had like the whole gamut of that. And also, it was just really, really blue sky thinking. Like our brief for that project was, this company, they were really interested in these kind of like technological and also like societal changes that are happening towards like mobility, where it's like we don't, just use a car. We use like many different modes of transports. Like maybe you have like a shared car, then you get a shared bike, and then you have like a car that can get you on like the subway and public transports. And it was really just thinking about building a kind of like platform ecosystem around that. And in the end, it didn't get made. It e- it ended at the conceptual stage, and we had built this whole like kind of master plan of like energy generation, which turns into credits, and those credits are exchanged for like moving around the globe. But it was a lot of fun. And like the team, we had a really good time. We had a blast. And it's also interesting to see because like a lot of these ideas, they're coming out in different products at the moment. It is all starting to happen. So I see that as like validation that our ideas were good, even if they didn't see the light of day, but it happens.
Oh, no, that's good. I mean, it's also really nice to know that I know a lot of people would probably look at that like, "We didn't do good enough, it was a failure," but I think that looking back on it, as in everyone had fun doing it and you know that you made a good product, regardless of whether it was something that was approved of or not, I think that is very wholesome. Because I think that people should think about things more like that, not that, if you had a good time doing something and or creating something and you did like the finished product and you think that obviously followed all the design parameters, I think that
Mhm.
it's good to think about it like that because obviously a lot of people are recruited to do different things and they might view something as a failure or that they didn't do well enough just because it wasn't something that they ended up implementing. But
Yep. I mean, I've had loads of projects that have never been implemented. So I think maybe in the beginning that's a bit more like disheartening, but once you're used to it, it's like it's okay. Like, and I guess it kind of teaches you like you can be your own like barometer of success. It's like, do you think you addressed or like identified the problem and addressed it well? Was it like a good solution? So it's this kind of like self-critical like review process. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was just a lot of fun. So yeah, that would be my answer.
that's good. I mean, I think that you should enjoy what you do, and I think that yeah, it's just I think that once you face rejection repetitive, that's like in a creative space, I'm sure that happens a lot, which is unfortunate. But also, I think like once you get used to it, you get in this headspace of like, oh, I can still be proud of something, even if it's not uh successful in a campaign.
Yeah,
Sort of
I
way.
mean, I don't really even see things as rejection anymore. Honestly, I think something that's really nice about the work that we're doing at the moment, and I think it's something that like here at Door Three, we actually excel in and do very well is like close, tight collaboration with like our partners, and that's really led to the best results, like the best relationships with our clients as well. And yeah, it's just this idea, we're in this together, and they have a product or an idea or a vision. And if we're coming onto that, I mean, they're infinitely more knowledgeable about their their product, their baby. I mean, they've been putting years and years into this. So I really like to work in that way of, really just trying to come into it with like openness, like a sponge, like absorb all of their knowledge, but also just work through things together with them. I mean, that's something that I think's kind of changed over the course of my career. Like I used to try to like, go off into like a corner by myself, and I don't want to share anything until it's like ready and polished,
Mhm.
but it takes a long time to get there and maybe never get there. And that's something I like to do at the moment, is just sharing like often and early and just like working through things together, and that's why if you were to show something and it's not there yet or it's not right yet, I mean, that's not wrong. It's just it's part of the journey, and like you will get there together. So yeah, I don't really kind of look at this as right and wrong. It's just process until you arrive at the point where everybody agrees this is like the obvious solution.
Yeah, I also think it must be fun and exciting to get involved with different industries,
Yes.
and, learn about them, right?
Yeah, that's really like cool comment actually, because that is something I really like about the work that we do, and it's cool because we have like a very like varied, like catalog of clients like across industries, but also like across like maturity and size. Like we could work with like very large established companies that have like hundreds or thousands of employees in them, or we work with startups, and maybe it's a team of like 2 people or one person, and they don't have any kind of product yet. They just, have an idea. Um, yes, and I think that's really cool, like, that's your comment about the different areas. Yeah, I love that, like, doing these deep dives, it's like a product or project, like, is like a few months, but you're just, like, in that world, and you say, like, some projects we had recently was about kind of like pet healthcare, like using tech to improve as like this kind of like telehealth pets. Um, I don't know anything about that. Like I have a cat, but we got really into that, and, like understanding all these processes, and then from that you go and work for a company that has this like 3D modeling software for the construction industry, and we were just like working really closely with, like, these engineers in the beginning, their vocab and terminology were just kinda like, "What the hell
Me
are you guys talking about?" Like, all this, like, loads and resistance and forces, but at the end, we pick it up and we get through it,
you don't know all
and
about
then
it.
yeah, and then it's the same at the end of projects, we end up kind of speaking, like, legalese with lawyers and stuff because 'cause we've just kind of, like, just went for it and, like, dived into it.
No, oh, it's really nice to see you so passionate about it because it's really great to talk to someone who loves their job, you can tell. Tell.
So that depends on the day.
Yeah, of course, I think that's everyone, unfortunately. That's working in the corporate world, I feel.
Well, although I do feel like 'cause actually I was speaking with like a couple of a couple of colleagues today, and we're having this project, and it is a bit of a head scratcher,
Mm.
and it's complex, and we have these like long discussions with our partner where we're really just trying to like unbox, like what are like the requirements, what's like the functionality, how it's going to look, and I was just telling them like I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this is really cool. And we get like this job and we're just like sitting there in a call, like talking through how does this like new kind of product work and what's like the value of that. And I find it really interesting.
That. They Well, I really like to hear that because I just think it's really nice to think of things I should just stop saying the word. I should just stop saying innovatively.
Innovative. Just
I can't say the word. I should just stop trying. I think it's nice to think of things in new ways from new perspectives, and I think that that to be inspired by something that's difficult or new is so awesome. It's really great to see. I love hearing people talk about what they're passionate about, which is why this podcast is freaking awesome. But
well, yep, I agree. I agree. Stamp of approval.
I appreciate that. But yeah, no, I think that it's nice to be able to see that you had something that's new and maybe difficult to figure out, but you're excited to learn about the thing and figure out how, I just don't think that I think that makes the best work is being inspired by something that's new or something that, might be daunting at first because you have no concept of it.
Mhm.
But it's also really nice to figure things out and see how things work. And I think that you get to learn more about new industries every day. And that's such a privilege to be able to, be in that space.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, this I think is a perfectly wholesome and awesome note to end on because we are a little over time. We've done a lot of overtime, but I think that means it was fun.
It's my fault with technical issues.
No, not at all.
People calling me up in the middle of our silence.
Not at all. Please. I think that this is a very fun podcast, and I'm happy that I think this might be towards the end of your day, but this is the start of my day. So I appreciate you coming on and make me laugh and we had a great time. So and being so knowledgeable and excited about your job.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, wish you the best of your Friday as it begins and mine winds down.
Thank you. They usually come out on a Wednesday, so happy Wednesday, everyone. The
Happy
podcast.
Wednesday. Yeah, it's not
Hap-
Friday.
It's actually Wednesday, and thank you.
Hump day. This should get you over the hump.
Okay. Hey, thank you everyone for watching and listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories like this, get more knowledge like I get to do every time I'm on this podcast. That's my favorite part of it. I'll always say that. And thank you again for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And
Thank you. My pleasure.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.